Okay, I think we're ready to go. So, hey, Sabir, thank you so much for agreeing to come on to Mind Talks with me. And just for the sake of all the listeners who are, going to be watching this, I just want to say Mind Talks is my way of getting into leaders' minds. I mean, and who better can I get than Sabir Bhatia himself? So, as a Josephite, I'm so proud of all the things that you've done. Hotmail, I used to be a big fan of Hotmail in its early days. And, you did a phenomenal job on negotiating with Bill Gates. So, I mean, there's so much of stuff surrounding you, Sabir. So, I just thought, let me give you some time to represent Sabir Bhatia himself. I mean, who better than the man himself? So, Sabir, all yours. It's your time. Take it any way you want it.
Great. No, thank you so much for giving me this opportunity. It's I really got lucky uh, in a number of places in life. It's you know, uh, Success comes when luck meets hard work.
Right.
It You got to keep working hard, and ever so often, great opportunities come your way. You get breaks in life. Somebody notices your dreams, your passions, your desires, and somebody recognizes your talent. I mean, it was just a collection of all those things that has led me to be who I am and what I am. And all of this is a process of evolution of the human mind. I mean, so the idea that you're doing mind talks is very appropriate, actually. Um, it When you look back at certain events that occur in your life and how they kind of add up to get you to the place that you are in, it's just mind blowing that uh, you've got to thank your lucky stars that things just lined up. Very often, I think humans, we take credit for our own successes. And I'll be the first one to tell you that I just got lucky.
Wow.
It's not as a result of my I tried different things, but different things that I tried just worked out. There are so many others who keep trying and things don't work out for them, but they
That's
should
true.
not be disheartened, because the fun of life is in putting in the effort, actually. And
Awesome.
regardless of what the outcome is, success or no success, uh, life is a journey. And in this journey, as long as we every single day wake up with the right intentions, the right mindset, and put in the right effort, the rest is just up to forces beyond our control
Right.
to see that if we are successful or not. And luckily, I work in an industry which acknowledges and recognizes this. We are not about traditional dollars and cents. We're not about infrastructure, or a business where you buy at X, sell at Y.
Right.
We operate in a zone, or in an area where everything, all of, like, the 10 most valuable companies on the planet today all operate on manipulating bits, right? They are about human thought translated into software, or some sort of intellectual capital that does something for someone,
That's
whether
true.
it is computing or mobile computing devices, access to information flow from A to B, manipulation of this information, its storage in some place, movement, mass movements such as storage of information from local computing to cloud-based computing, massive bandwidth availability, new 5G technologies. All of this, at the end of the day, is human thought, and it comes out of human ideas of the mind, and it's about manipulating this and for the benefit of the human population around the world.
Right.
Um, And so really it's, in some sense, it is about discovering truth and new truths and finding new areas. That's why I'm so excited to be working in this so-called, high tech or internet based economy. Uh, and it's the same things. So many things, opportunities come about because of changes in global circumstances. I mean, look at what we're doing right now. This whole Zoom interview.
Right.
We are thousands of miles away, but this is how all meetings in the world are happening right now.
That's true.
Just because even if there is a person who is just 5 minutes down the street, I'm no longer meeting with that person physically. I'm doing it virtually, for safety and other things. And so it's kind of better for the planet. Global warming, it saves on gas, and but this is a new reality,
This is
and
the
all
new
of the
reality.
jobs of the future will be, also pretty much based on, this form of communication. Um, and so that in a nutshell describes, I'm just a dreamer and a thinker who thinks of new ideas of making hopefully life better, for billions of people. And I
Awesome.
was very fortunate that I got lucky with the very first company that I really,
You did a brilliant job there, Sabir.
thought of it.
I mean, just the Hotmail story was, it just lights up the whole atmosphere.
No, thank you so much. But like I said, I got some lucky breaks. I got my journey in the United States really started at Caltech, and I was so lucky that as a transfer student to Caltech, I started my career at BITS Pilani. They gave me a full scholarship as an
Oh, wow.
undergraduate to come and study here. And I mean, really, I cannot thank Caltech enough for having identified me at such a young age and seeing that, this kid has some potential, and, let us make him part of our institution and great community. And that's what really started. And then after that, I went to Stanford, got inspired by people like Steve Jobs and Scott McNeely and Vinod Khosla and people who had started great companies, and
Awesome.
inspired me to start a company of my own. And one thing led to another. And, uh, I was very fortunate that I partnered with my co-founder, Jack Smith. And so when I look back at things were meant to happen. That's why they did happen.
Yeah,
But
you were at the place where, I mean, this Jack Smith story itself. In fact, one of my questions was, why Jack Smith? I mean, you were in a company, you could have chosen anyone else.
no, it's not. It was meant to be. I mean, we worked together on the same project,
Mhm.
and I knew he was an exceptional programmer, and his abilities and a little bit of my business acumen. We kind of put that together, and uh, we're very lucky to have chosen a product at the right place at the right time and kind of identified a market before anyone else did.
Oh, that
And
was
like I said,
huge.
yeah.
That was
So
just
when I
huge. So what was
yeah
you mentioned in the Simi interview that, you couldn't even connect with, with your friends other than through the official, page, and you were not allowed to because of the firewalls and all that. So that is one thing
yes
that just triggered it, right? That is one of
yes
the ideas.
yeah, it's normally in anything there is a very simple idea,
Right.
and in this case it was that we we had our personal email accounts, but we could not uh, communicate using our personal email accounts because the company put a firewall around the
I got
corporate
that.
intranet. And so we're like, hey, what if we made email available on the web? Web is meant for other things, but what about making email? That would solve our problem. And you don't need to be tied to a computer. With one computer, many people can sign up for an email account. And that was such a boon in all of the emerging markets where people didn't have access to computing devices early on. And so they would go to an internet cafe and log on, and with one login account, with one computer that was connected to it was at an internet cafe, they'd have like, hundreds or thousands of people using that to get their personal information, all of which was stored in the cloud. So if you conceptually think of it, it was really the first cloud-based application.
That's awesome.
And what followed was Salesforce and other things, and now everything is moving to the cloud. And
Everything is
cloud
moving
is
to the cloud.
identified as $1 trillion opportunity.
Yes.
But I think email or Hotmail was the first one to put it in the cloud.
And I like the name, how you chose Hotmail and the HTML part of it. But, it still had those other letters in between. And so
Yeah.
I think
So yeah, it was just HTML email.
Yeah.
And Hotmail had mail in it, and so HOT, and
HOT,
it's
yeah.
just, we
Made
just
a lot of
wrote down
sense.
a whole bunch of names. And
But it was such a nice name also. I mean, if you just say,
yeah.
in fact, one of the jokes that you cracked once was, when you used to call someone saying your Hotmail and they used to snigger, and you said MAIL is mail, not MAIL.
Yeah.
So, Sabir, what makes Sabir Sabir? I mean, I'm still trying to figure it out. You seem such a nice guy, and a lot of it, I'm sure, came from school. In fact, I don't know whether you know this. Merle Lobo, family friend of ours, and she talks so highly about when you were in kindergarten, she could see greatness. I don't know whether she told you that anytime.
She did. She's here in San Diego now.
Yes, very close to
Yeah.
me. I'm sure.
My mom met her, and she. I'll tell you a story which is just absolutely mind-blowing. I went to give a talk in San Diego one time, and Merle and her husband were there.
Dennis, yeah. Dr. Dennis.
And Dennis were there. And so at the end of the talk, she didn't know me by my name, Sabir. She knew me by my nickname, which was Kutu at that time.
Yes, in fact, she told me that story. Kutu, yeah.
Yeah. So she saw me give the talk, and she's like, so she said, by any chance, did you go to school in Bangalore at this place, at this school, and during this time, and this and this? There was you remind me of a little kid who was there at that time, and his name was Kutu. I'm like, this is unbelievable. That is me. I didn't recognize her, but she recognized me.
Wow.
And she didn't know me as my name. And she's like, you're the same one I still remember from when you were 2 years old. Phenomenal. Or 2 1/4.
Yeah, phenomenal. I mean, how much you would have changed from then till here.
Exactly.
And you're in another country, and still making that connection. And she doesn't know your name is Sabir. She knows that your pet name Kutu. Wow.
Yes.
That's a huge story. She told me that, and I said, someday when I meet you, I must talk about it. Yeah, so I'm so glad this came up from your side.
Yeah. So when my mom came visiting over here to the US, she and I and my whole family went to meet Merle Lobo in San Diego at her home. It was amazing. She remembered me. She's like,
in fact, I know your mom and dad also. Your mom and my mom were in some kitty group together, and I used to meet dad with the connection with the school, and such a gracious couple. Just awesome to meet them.
No, thank you so much.
You must be getting a lot of your goodness from that, right? Dad,
a lot of obviously, the background, which is kind of a armed forces background, and then St. Joseph's influenced me to such a great extent.
Tell me one or two of those points, Sabir, just for my knowledge, because
now that I experience it, it's the way of thinking. It's the way about developing your moral conscience. Also, we had something called moral science.
Yes.
Which is not taught in too many schools in India. Everybody is about just work, and the whole idea of the Christian schools that where priests and teachers, they sacrifice their lives to teaching us and molding us into good human beings. I think that has had, and now in life I realize has had a profound impact on my life.
No, just fabulous. And we don't realize it till much later, I suppose,
You don't realize it till much later when
your
you
childhood
experience
has,
some things in life,
yeah,
and and you experience how other people think. It's the way of thinking. All of life is how you think about it. And you will see in the background I've got Caltech.
I've seen
That's
that. And it's so nice to see that.
so same thing. It's more than anything else, Caltech. It's not about what coursework I took, and Caltech taught me how to think
It's brilliant.
and how to solve, hopefully apply my mind to solve the world's problems. Now, the biggest challenge in entrepreneurship or in whatever I do is identifying the right problem to solve. That's the hard
Right,
thing.
right.
Now, there are two ways of thinking about it. A lot of entrepreneurs, I mean, I'm not in any way belittling entrepreneurship where people do it because they want to get rich or they want to
Mhm.
make a lot of money because they think, hey, if you do this, the market size is so big and this will happen and that'll happen. I'm not one of those. That's not what drives me and motivates me. What motivates me is identifying a problem
Mhm.
and seeing, can we solve this problem using technology, using resources that I have access to, and how many people will it affect? If you can help people in some way, money will follow later on. I
That's
mean,
true.
it's not about having the business plan, the model all buttoned up beforehand. It's about creating a product that lots of people will use, and that's the mantra on the internet. Like look at Facebook. It's one of the 5 most valuable companies on the planet. Their goal was not advertising. Their goal was, you know what, we all have a need to be connected with our families and know what is going on in each other's lives.
Right.
Isn't there one place that we can create where all of this information is available, what other people are doing, and we log in and log off as and when we see, and we get to see a little bit of what's going on in the whole world. So we're kind of getting a virtual sense uh, of it's impossible to keep in touch with everyone, and you can't keep emailing all the time, or email is not the right mechanism to communicate. Oh, I had a birth of a son, or I got married, so and so got married, some friend got this, so and so got engaged, somebody had this graduation ceremony, somebody's kid graduated. All of that is in one place, and everybody has a need to connect. So
Yes,
it was outside of the realm of traditional software.
that's right.
It wasn't like a software company which was making Word better or PowerPoint better, or doing instant messaging. It was just an idea, out of the box thinking. And because the whole world signed up for it, lo and behold, like, it's one of the 10 most valuable companies. So they really didn't go at it with the intention of making money, but the
Money.
intention of,
Absolutely.
hey, here is an idea that
Solving a problem. You said that so
solving a
well.
problem.
But
And I think at the
now,
heart of all great companies is a problem that companies solve. Yeah.
I feel so. I feel so. No, I'm just thinking, of course, we're always smarter looking backwards, like Steve Jobs says, we connect the dots easier that way.
Yeah.
But you started Hotmail, you and Smith. And the thing is, Facebook is almost, in a lot of ways, an extension of that, right? You want to connect with people, you want to share things. I mean, did you not think of that? I'm just thinking, was
No,
that thought across your mind? No, not
no,
at all.
that didn't, no, because that's the beauty of, different people have different great ideas, and all these good ideas have to percolate to the top.
Right.
So that was purely Mark Zuckerberg's idea of saying, hey, you know what, why not, besides email, is there a way to, uh, keep in touch with the
Connect,
whole,
share.
and share using pictures and using emojis and likes and all of that stuff. So it was purely his idea, and it was great. I mean, that's the beauty of technology, that it's not constant, it is constantly evolving, and anyone can have a brilliant idea. And it's all that is needed is the idea. It's not, you don't need massive resources and all that you will come later on. As long as you show that the idea is good, you kind of test it out and you show that there is growth.
Right.
There's plenty of capital available
There
to.
is plenty of capital. And I'm sure you're also funding a lot of companies. Just off the top of your head, Sabir, now you've curated a lot of companies, Arzu and all. So I'm saying uh, everyone's waiting for Sabir's next big thing. And everyone wants to know what's Sabir's next big thing. So do you have something that you want to share? I know you, Jimmy, were working on something, and Corona went and messed up the timing in a little way. But looking at you, I'm thinking there must be something back of your mind, right? So can you share something about it without giving us
It's,
all the details?
I can give you all the details.
Well,
It's
you
kind
can
of similar to what you're doing right now.
tell me. Now,
It's
now this is getting more exciting, Sabir. So,
it's similar to Mind Talks.
oh, right, right. Wow.
So what I'm doing is I'm creating an app
Okay.
that will virtually digitize me
Mm-hmm.
and hopefully use to interview millions of people, like just like you're interviewing me in real time, but
Right.
I'll be doing it virtually using me and my questions and
Wow.
creating like videos of their interviews with me, which they can use for different purposes. They can use it for getting a job. They can use it for dating, for finding a soulmate. They can
Wow.
use it for expressing their opinions, ideas. But I won't be real. I'll just be virtual, and I'll be I'll be on your side, like what you're doing, asking questions. I'll be doing the asking.
Wow.
Uh,
Sounds exciting.
yeah, I think
Yeah, it
so.
sounds very exciting. So this is all with the AI on board or ML. What are you doing?
Yeah. So yeah, initially it'll be just using video, but then at the back end using AI, we'll get into the minds of everyone, not just leaders like what you're trying to do, but hopefully imagine if you could get into the mind of 1 billion people in India. All
So,
they did is they download this app and they answer a few questions that I am asking.
Sabi, we need to talk more, but maybe off record. Okay, so
Sure. Yeah.
this is an awesome idea. This is an
Yeah.
awesome idea. Okay, so there's lots of big stuff coming out of, but I also know I hear a lot of different things, like for instance, agrotech and IoT, and so you got 1,000 ideas, I'm sure. How do you manage to focus? How do you manage to get to that focal point where you say this is going to be my next unicorn?
It's a lot of digging into the subconscious,
Hmm.
believe it or not. It's not, one is our conscious self, which is, ground realities,
Yeah.
data, understanding what is, but those are still reactionary products. They react to truly innovative ideas come from just deep subconscious thinking and trying to figure out, okay, what problem are we solving? At the heart of any good idea is a problem. Then seeing, you know, what can we do with technology to solve this problem? And this whole idea of this virtual interviews and stuff came about because, I felt that because of coronavirus, 500 million people are unemployed in the world today.
500.
Maybe more, maybe 1 billion, you know. And that means there is loss of self-esteem, loss of jobs, loss of income. Is there any way we can help these people? And so the idea was, okay, if we can think of it as a pre-interview before they get a job, that'll help them because that'll help potential employers know them better. Even if potential employers don't know them better, think of it as a practice interview that they do,
Makes a lot of
with
sense.
me,
Yeah,
with me. And I'm asking same questions that any interviewer would ask. So that was what gave birth to the idea.
very nice.
And then, so now, so initially we made an app where the questions were all virtual, like
Right.
thrown in the form of a text-based question that people ask. And that wasn't, working because people don't respond to a text-based question.
Right.
They respond to a human asking them a
You're
question.
right.
So I'm like,
You're
hey,
right.
you know what if I'm the one asking these questions and I appear completely unassuming, just ask them the same questions that any interviewer would. One, it's a test for them, and two, I get to know a lot is what's going on in their minds and hopefully help them get back on their feet.
It will help them. It will help them because, this is like a dry run.
Yeah, this is like a dry run, exactly. And sometimes in a virtual world, imagine in India, like people are trying to get married and find their soulmate or whatever. It's they cannot meet in person. They can send a little video clip of the interview with me. you
So
know
have you test run this whole thing about, especially the romantic part of it?
Not the
You're a
romantic
romantic
part,
guy, right? So,
but the professional part. I just finished this morning. I did 3 more interviews. I've done about 15 interviews so far
wow.
on Zoom. So now we are readying the app. So once the app goes live, hopefully millions of people in India, they just download it and boom, they do an interview.
That's awesome. And Sabir Bhatia uses Zoom. That's a good point for me to note. So,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
was
no,
worried, I said, if I'm going to tell Sabir, no, I'm going to talk to him on Zoom. And he says, you're using Zoom. I got my own software or some shit. I said, oh my. Then you're telling me, you're doing a lot of your interviews on Zoom, Sabir. So
yeah,
that's so nice to hear.
yeah.
No, so Sabir, I'm going to ask you some very interesting questions now. One of them is, you meet the top notch people in the world. You're a celebrity and you're famous in so many ways. Give me one or two things that average humans like me can pick up one or two ideas and say, can we build our life on these one or two simple ideas? Do you have something?
Yeah, I mean, it's really um, people really at the very top are humble. You will find extremely humble. You know,
So,
uh, of course, you find all kinds in all walks of life, but in general, uh, they are, and then they are, they also realize that they've got a great weight on their shoulders in that they have to be role models for the next generation and for others. And you meet all kinds of people, obviously, and they've got simple good habits in what they do day to day. And I think if we can emulate just those simple habits of being at the right place at the right time, leading a disciplined kind of life, that leads to great things. You don't have to be extraordinarily superhuman. And many of us, like I said, like somebody asked me this question. Like actually, a good friend of mine now asked me this question 20 years ago,
mhm.
and he said, "Are you great, or did you get lucky?" And because I was young for 20 years, I continued to think that I was great. And today, after a lot of deep thinking, I have come to the conclusion
Wow.
that greatness comes in admitting that you got lucky.
That's so well said. And in fact, that was one of my questions to you because the CME interview was what, 2001 somewhere?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. And there you said very clearly, and she said, was it greatness or was it, you just got lucky? And you said, 1 minute, we guys, we left jobs, we took that bigger risk, and he was a family man, my partner. So we slogged our butts off, right?
yeah,
So luck was, it just happened.
yeah,
We did all the hard work. Now,
yeah.
today you started your interview with me by saying, we have to have luck. And I'm thinking, what happened to Sabir now? So, has the spiritual side of Sabir come out? So,
Yeah.
that
No,
was
it's true. So what I'm trying to say is that's what life has taught me.
brilliant.
That that yeah, you got to keep trying. You should not stop trying, but also admit that there were forces greater than just your effort
That's so
that
brilliant.
results in positive outcomes.
That's so brilliant. So this happened somewhere. And Sabir, I'm a guy who works a lot with the mind. I've been 36 years a counselor also, in spite of being a coach and a trainer. One of the things I learned a long time back in life, Sabir, and it brought me down also to earth, is that we learn a lot through pain more than pleasure.
Yes.
Would you like to
Yes.
share something? Because I feel somewhere some, cogs have clicked in place for you.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely true. Life teaches you. I mean, it's a different way of looking at life, you know? So one way of looking at life is just material success,
Right.
which unfortunately, I will say a lot of people in India just look at that
Yeah.
axis.
Yeah.
You know, if I won't name names, but if people are so and so because they have a lot of money,
It's
you
true.
know, it's automatically society. I'm saying that is the old way of thinking, really. The modern way of thinking is not how much money people have made, but at the end of our lives, my dad passed away 2 years ago. And, it brought about another set of emotions in me and a new way of thinking to say, what is life? I mean, we are born, we live, and we move on, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we are part of a bigger, uh, a bigger part of the cosmos, which is exists forever. We are recording events now that occurred, billions of years ago,
It's
like
true.
what Caltech did, and as a result, the LIGO project, laser interferometer for the gravitational observation of waves. Uh, Kip Thorne from Caltech won a Nobel Prize. But think about it. I mean, we are recording events that are part of our cosmos that occurred 1.2 billion years ago. So that got me thinking that given our time on planet Earth is so limited, what we should measure ourselves by is how much have we made planet Earth better
Wow.
when we leave it. Each of us will contribute in some small way. That should be the ultimate source of happiness, not how much material pleasure we've got, how many cars, or how much this. That is, it once again comes down to also the Hindu philosophy of Maya. What we are trying to chase is all Maya.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So people don't become great because they've got a lot of money. People are great because they make a contribution or make a difference. They do something for Earth and they leave behind. So each of us has contributed in our small way to making this planet a better place. And that should be our measure of success.
I have said
Not,
that. Brilliant.
yeah, that's how I think. So it's a way of thinking, it's a philosophy.
That is brilliant. So there's so much of a difference between some of your older interviews. I mean, I'm talking 15 years ago or 20 years ago, and the current Sabir Bhatia. Now, I'm thinking, God, I don't even know what to ask you anymore because you're so much on a spiritual realm now, Sabir. And, for me, this is very enlightening, very enlightening. First of all, I want to thank you. When I was president way back when in Joseph's, and you guys, Jimmy, you, Mark, gave, the three big building contribution, and another anonymous donor, which I can't name on this interview. But as president, we got the money for the whole building just like that from good guys like you. So is that philanthropy also part of you? And is that part of your legacy? How do you look at that? Your giving nature.
Very much. No, very much so. I mean, after a while, it's life is just is an experience, and you've got to experience every aspect of life. If everything is just good, then you will not know, you will not have the truest experience of life. And part of this is eventually all of this, what do I want to leave for my children now that I'm a father? And, I don't want to leave them with money. That's the wrong thing. It's to leave them with good values
Wow.
and, enable them to experience whatever they want to experience in their own lives. It's you know, so somebody like to simplify things, somebody asks, uh, is it the destination or the journey which is more important? And so the answer came from this wise person, it's the company. At
That's
the end of the day, at the end of the day, if you think each of our lives, we interact with so many people, if we make them happy and at the end of their lives, they remember us positively. That's the greatest achievement of life, you know.
So brilliantly said.
And so we are very much caught up in, smaller things, but eventually, what does it? I mean, not everyone can think this way, but what does it distill down for people? Make their lives better somehow, make them happier somehow. Whether you're giving them, uh, like what I'm doing, confidence, giving them a virtual interview,
Right.
sharing my, just my virtual sense with them, and helping them, gain that confidence. That's one way.
That's a huge way.
And we as human beings are a collection of emotions. One is our physical self, and two is emotions. And the most important thing is to take care of people's emotions and help them become better human beings. And the day we stop trying to make ourselves better is then we have not progressed in life.
That's true. That's true. And that's evolution. And, we call this transcendence. You got to get to a higher plane. So,
Yes.
so what's the philosophy that drives you? I mean, is it Zen? Is it, just Hinduism? What do you?
I don't know. I mean, it's born out of just experiences, and like I said, all of it, foundations were probably laid at St. Joseph's. I'll tell you another very interesting thing that my fellow Josephites remember. A couple of I think priests from France or from Belgium or something were visiting St. Joseph's,
Hmm?
and they asked all of this. We were in the ninth grade. What I'll give you, 100 rupees to whoever who can tell me what is the purpose of life. What do you want to be? And somebody said, I want to be an engineer. Somebody said, I want to do this. Somebody said, I want to do that. Ah, I don't know why I used to think this way. I raised my hand. I said, I just want to be a human being.
Wow.
And they were like, my God, that's the right answer. We didn't expect anybody to say that the purpose of life is to be human.
Wow.
Uh, but so I don't know where this comes from. It's a set of experiences, a set of people I've met. And of course, it's born out of, getting successful very early on, and then realizing there is more to life than just material wealth, and then saying, okay, you know what, that means nothing. It goal should be to make people happy in whichever way we can.
How would it have changed things if you had known this when you were younger? How would it have changed things? Would it
No,
have?
I kind of knew it, but I didn't believe it.
Wow.
So the thing is, you've got to experience life to believe it.
That's true.
It's one thing to be told,
Yeah.
you do this, this is what you should. Okay, then you really haven't experienced it.
Mhm.
It's only when you go through the experience of life and you look at why things happen, what happened, and you look back and you ask yourself, could I have done things differently? And at every step of the way, I say to myself, the outcomes would have been so much different
That's true.
had I simply been humble. But then the process of going through life taught me, and I would not have gained this wisdom. It would have been wisdom that someone else had passed on to me. This way I've experienced it, felt it, realized it, and now I believe in it, obviously.
So it comes back to that fact of timing. Everything in the universe has a timing.
Oh yeah, for sure, for sure. I believe that very much. People though may not believe it, and like people are trying to do. But like I said, it also comes back to timing, and it comes back to your intentions. If your intentions are
Very
good,
powerful.
and at every step of the way, every morning you have positive intentions. Today I'm going to make some difference in somebody's life. I'm going to do this. So I'm not just doing it because it's a job. I'm
Right.
not doing this because somebody else is telling me to do it. I'm
Mhm.
doing it because I want to impact somebody's life today. uh, that's the kind of thinking that uh, will result in positive change globally. And we need positive change because we've set up everything in the form of countries, leaders, but at the end of the day, this Zoom call is now showing that we are connected. Every
So,
one of us is interconnected.
yes,
And what
yes,
we
right.
should celebrate is uh, overall human happiness. That's the other thing that I've learned. What is happiness? Happiness is not in making yourself happy or consuming. Happiness is in making someone else happy. When you make someone else happy, that's when you really become happy yourself. That is true happiness, by the way. That is what is
Is
true
absolutely
from
right.
the inside. And that's why we've got such a large-hearted, wonderful uh, donor who's anonymous, because he has understood what true happiness is. And
That's
that's what
awesome.
it is, that he's
That's
making
true.
all of us happy
That's
without
true.
asking for anything in return.
And
Yeah.
if you ask me, no, Sabir, I mean, the anonymous donor, I think you know who he is, I know who he is, but we're still keeping it anonymous. And it
Yes,
makes it even more exciting. I don't know whether you figured that out.
of course. Yes, I did. I mean,
So,
that's the he's a very evolved human being.
that's the point.
You know that.
That's the point.
Yeah.
So I'm going to ask you a specific question. You said
Sure.
it's about creating happiness for others. Tell me
Yeah.
in the last 1 week or 2, 3 days, give me one or two examples of how you created happiness for someone.
Well, um, in my case, because my scope of thing is limited to my kids, and right now, obviously, making them happy and helping them do their homework is a simple way of finding happiness.
Sabir
My
Bhatia helps his kids with homework.
Yeah, of
Yeah, that's
course.
a revelation, okay? So, thanks for sharing that. That's
Yeah, no,
brilliant.
no, that's the ultimate form of happiness. His birthday is coming up. My elder son's, he's going to be 6, and so makes me happy that I can, that I'll be doing something for him. He's finds it exciting. He's looking forward to it. Then the other way is I'm working on this new, like I said, new app, and I'm recording myself over and over again, trying to
Exciting stuff.
do this in Hindi, trying to do this in
Oh,
Kannada
wow.
and Malayalam.
Really? Are you serious?
Yeah, no,
So
I'm serious.
multilingual.
Multilingual. It'll be for the whole world. I'll do it in Japanese. I'll do it
I
in
can't believe
Korean.
this,
It doesn't
Sabir.
matter.
I really can't believe this.
Yeah.
Wow. You're a determined guy, man. I'm so happy to hear that. So this is passion and this is legacy, if you ask me. I mean, this is a huge legacy.
I hope so.
Yeah,
I really
but if,
hope so.
if you wanted your kids to remember you in some way, what would that way be?
Hey, listen, they all can be what I am. And it's not just me. I should not be the only role model. Anything.
Mhm.
The
Mhm.
point of is that they have to always, all of us, all we can do is give it our best effort. First of all, is don't be disappointed with yourself if you don't achieve. Not everyone, becomes, some people are lucky, but even if you're not lucky, the greatest satisfaction comes from knowing that you gave it your best effort.
Awesome.
Not giving your best effort is, uh, would be the wrong thing to do. I mean, you'd be shortchanging yourself and society. And always know that you are part of a greater whole. That everyone has a role to perform, and you should take satisfaction in the role that you have chosen yourself to perform, and be and like I said, the ultimate happiness deep down is that you are making the world a better place, and when you die you will leave it a better place.
That's so wonderfully said. Hey, this is like a deep stuff. I mean, Samir, I wouldn't have even thought we would go this route. But it's so
The
nice to
other
hear
stuff
you
is
say that.
everyone does the other stuff, right? Oh, I did this, I did that,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
did
yeah,
that.
yeah.
I'm like, no, I did nothing. Listen, if
Wow.
it's all about me, you can read about it. It doesn't mean anything. It's about what ultimate is human happiness, and happiness comes from making other people happy. That is the fundamental rule that people should follow, and once they follow it, and it's small acts lead to big outcomes. You make small changes in your life, small changes in what you do day to day, and it leads to phenomenal outcomes later on.
Brilliant. Who's the one teacher that really touched your life?
um, There are so many.
Awesome.
In school also, at Caltech.
Give me one from
Uh,
school, one from Caltech, at least, and maybe one from Stanford. I don't know.
um, all the priests. I think Father Shenoy touched me the most.
Wow.
You know, in
Tell me
in
about this. This is a neat one. Tell me about Father Shenoy.
I was, once again, like I said, talk about luck and how things happen because they're meant to be.
Mhm.
I came. My dad was, because he was in the army, or like he was working for the gas turbine research establishment. We came from Pune to Bangalore, you know, and so he had already got me admitted into Clarence High School.
Even in
You know,
Clarence West, I see. I didn't know
yeah,
that. Ah,
yeah. He had already. I mean, before school started, and because I was close to my home, and it was, they had done some aptitude tests and everything, and it came out well. And so the admissions for St. Joseph's were closed
right.
completely. And my dad just one day told me, "Why don't just come with me? We'll go and see, what is possible." And everyone, all the friends said, "No, impossible to get into St. Joseph's. Admissions are closed. There's no way." He said, um, let's take a chance," kind of thing. So I went there with him, and we went over there, and through the principal's office, principal was told that, Mr. Bhatia has come. So Father Shenoy comes on and says, "Why have you come here? Don't you know everything is
Hmm.
closed?" So he says, "No, Father, here's my son, and he's right over here. And if there's anything you can do, I mean, because I was in the military, I couldn't come earlier, I
Oh,
couldn't
wow.
take
Yeah.
leave, this, that, whatever." So normally Father Shenoy should have just told me, "No, no, not possible, everything is closed." He had made up his mind to say no. But then he saw me, and I don't know what he saw in me. He says, "Okay, 1 minute, you stay outside." He told my dad, "You come in." And I was really scared. He's asked me to come in,
Mhm.
and sit down with him. And then he asked me a few questions, like in mathematics. Then he asked me to read a book, and I was reading that book, and I stuck. There were some words I could not pronounce, and so he told me, "Okay, this is how you pronounce it."
Mhm.
And then I continued reading, and when I encountered that word again, I knew how to pronounce it
Yeah.
because he just told me, you know. And then math, I was very good at. So he asked me math, and I solved the problems easily. And then he looks into my eyes, and he like opens one eyelid, he opens the other eye, and he's like, "From now on, you're not just your father's son, you're my son too. And
Wow.
go tell your dad you're admitted to St. Joseph's."
Wow. Sabi, that is such a huge story, man. Oh,
Yeah.
shit, really? So, see, now, I mean, I know Father Shenoy, but he was there in school after we passed out. Now. So now you know how
Then
senior I am. Okay, so
Chatterjee was also
Chatterjee.
phenomenal.
David Chatterjee was another brilliant. Yeah.
David, brilliant, such a good human being. I
Yeah.
mean, just his way of thinking and logic was so amazing, you know. Um, and then at Caltech, my
Wow.
uh, academic advisor, Edward Posner, what a great human being. I mean, he gave me the right advice. I wanted to stay back at Caltech.
Right.
I wanted to do my master's there. He says, "No, no, no. Caltech has given you everything that it has to. Go experience a different school and a different way of thinking. Go to Stanford." And when I went to Stanford, he says, "If you don't, you can always come back here."
That is so amazing.
Yeah.
That is
And
so amazing.
yeah. And so when I went to Stanford, that's when, otherwise I would have become a professor somewhere. And when I went to Stanford, I changed my thinking, and I said, "You know what? I want to be an entrepreneur. I don't want to be a professor anymore. This is what I want to be."
And so
And
Stanford made that difference.
Stanford made that difference. Yes.
Wow. So they say, like, you go to the Ivy League colleges and all that, just basically because of the other students and the way they
Yeah.
think, and you rub shoulders with the future who's who, of the world.
That's right. I mean, it's mostly really, it's about how, and these days the world is becoming flatter and flatter and flatter. And so, I mean, good ideas can come from anywhere. But um, you get inspired by people, and you just have to be in kind of a different way of thinking, not predetermined. I'll do this, I'll do this, I'll do this. No, if you do all that, then there's no fun in life.
That's true.
Every day should be a challenge. You take on something new, and that's the fun in life, solving the problems, day-to-day problems. And thinking about getting in touch with your subconscious self too. Like I said, this new idea of, hopefully, I mean, what if this is successful, and instinctively, if 100 million or a billion people do this virtual interview with me, that'll be a super successful product, right? I mean, all came from trying to solve a problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So why did you go for this thing of the interview? I mean, there must be some background with you on the interview for you to think of this in such a depth.
So the interview is like, you get to know a lot about people just by asking them simple questions. Simple.
Right.
Like my interview, I can even tell you what questions I'm asking. I mean, I got it right here. Please tell me your name.
Okay.
Please describe your professional career in your own words.
Mm-hmm.
Please describe your formal and informal education. What
Right.
are your strengths? What are you passionate about? What do you like to do in your spare time? What is your dream job? What is the hardest problem you've ever solved, and how did you do it? I mean, simple questions like that. You know so much. I tried it with a friend of mine, Jaideep, who's, I've known for 4 or 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
I got to know more about him by asking him these simple questions than I knew in the last 5 years.
Wow. Wow.
So
Give me
I
one
think there
question
is something
that you could ask like in a matrimonial kind of setting.
I don't know, but it's like, what is your ideal vacation? What are your goals for this year? What is your favorite product of 2020? What makes you happy? What makes you sad?
That's a big one.
Simple
The
things like that.
emotional part. And you brought that in
Yeah.
earlier also.
Yeah.
It's emotions that make us.
Yes.
A lot of intellect.
Emotions that make us.
Finally, this drives us.
Yes, that's right.
So what drives Sabir Bhatia to the next century?
Like I said, it's the whole subconscious self of, how can I make a difference? How can I make the world a better place? Can I do something with technology? Because that's where I operate, to make the world a better place. It's no longer about money. It's about, can technology positively impact the world, and is there a role for me to play in this yet again? Uh, and the Sabir Bhatia, like you mentioned, today is very different than 20 years ago.
Hugely different.
But that is what is life for everyone. Should be life for everyone.
Yes,
the purpose of life is to become a wiser human being.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And wisdom comes from experience, both positive and negative experiences.
Absolutely. I mean, knowledge is freely available today.
Yeah.
But wisdom is putting that knowledge into action through the experience and repeating.
Yeah. No, please share this, by the way, share this interview with me as well.
No, I'm going to share it with you. And I want you to, also tag yourself on that, because Sabir, I wanted it to be a different kind of interview. I didn't want it to be just the average stuff of what have you done and how much money you made and what are you going to do and all that. But I wanted, this heartfelt interview. And I'm so glad we switched tracks to this emotional part of it.
Yeah.
Because that is something which makes more sense than anything else. Like you said, it can be read.
Yeah.
Is it okay if I play the same game you're playing with all the interviewees? If I played with Sabir Bhatia, some quick fire questions, is it okay with you?
Sure. Why not?
Just for kicks, okay? So Sabir, what makes you tick?
What makes me think?
Tick. What makes you tick?
What makes me tick? You're doing something different, doing something that will, like I said, make a difference to all of humanity makes me really tick. That's what drives me.
What's the one thing that pisses you
off? People who are arrogant.
Wow.
Who have no reason to be. Many of them are just lucky or at a right place at the right time, but they've got arrogance. We're at the end of the day, deep down, all human beings. So you've got to appreciate the beauty of life.
You have an arrogant person on your team, Sabir. What would you do? Kick him out or try to change him?
Two steps. First, try to
First, you
gym, and then see and monitor. If it is not happening, then obviously, sayonara.
brilliant. What's the one thing you should look for in a marriage?
Ah, most important thing is you know uh, uh, an appreciation for each other's emotions. You
Amazing.
know, and knowing that uh, that both parties are like, have to respect other people's emotions, uh, and that, find a common purpose, like, whether it's raising family, you know uh, being nice to other fellow human beings, raising a dog, whatever the case may be.
Wow.
There is a greater purpose than just being with someone. Yeah.
I like this soft, fuzzy side of Sabir. Two things that make you a great dad.
One is obviously patience. You got to have tremendous patience with kids. They will push your buttons all the while, and then respecting their ideas, and once again respecting that they're also emotional beings, rather than forcing them to your point of view, helping them achieve what you have in store for them on their own.
The one thing dad and mom gave you.
Oh, they gave me the freedom to be whoever I wanted to be. I mean, that's the greatest gift that my dad didn't force me, or my mom didn't force me to be a doctor or an engineer or this. Be whatever you want to be. Just make sure that whatever you try to do, you be the best at whatever you're trying to be.
And you
And I
have such
think
good parents, let me tell you, just such so warm guys. And I
uh,
used to have lovely talks with them. So I haven't seen them for some time. Of course, dad, like you said, expired 2 years ago. But mom is also such a wonderful person. So I'm going to ask you one or two quick questions on, what would you, what is the advice you'd give India? Because you come from an Indian background, you went there, you made it big. Give us one bit of advice or two bits of advice for Indian kids who want to make it.
I think the biggest advice I can give them is that um, they have to change the way they think. India's biggest problem is the way India thinks, and it's it's not a zero sum game. You don't have to uh, try to outdo your neighbor, your partner. You try to help each other,
Collaborate.
because you have to collaborate, and we all win when we help each other.
That is
You
brilliant.
know, the for the greater good of the whole country. And it's the way India thinks. India's biggest problem is the way that it thinks. The whole world wants to help India, and India doesn't want to be helped. So creating a level playing field, I think, is the most important thing that Indians can do, which is uh, not have nepotism in job, in finding the right people. I'm not helping XYZ. I can help my son find a job, my this thing. No, let them find this on their own. Let them be useful to someone else. And it's not about, it's helping people how to think. And it's the people have to start taking more responsibility for their actions. If each of us takes responsibility for our actions, India will be a better place. But I think that is still absent. Decision making is so slow in India. Things move so slowly because people don't take responsibility.
That's true. And we like to blame and make excuses.
Yeah, yeah. No blames.
No
Blame
blame,
stops
no
with,
excuses. That's
yeah,
that's
and
what
taking more responsibility. And it's a way of thinking.
super.
Just
We think alike in so many different ways, but we'll talk about that some other time. Your biggest regret, Sabir?
I try not to have any regrets, because I look at a negative experience as also an experience. It's a
Also, great
learning
to learn.
experience. Like you learn from it. You're like, okay, it's don't take it as a regret. Oh, I should have done this.
Hmm.
Well, if we just do all the right things, then so you have to look back and say, no, okay, this is what has happened.
Awesome.
What could I have done differently if I had to do it again? That's when you learn, and that learning is more important than the experience itself.
That's true. Absolutely true. And pain is our best teacher. Seriously.
Yeah, so that's why there is no regrets. No, why
There are no
should I regret
regrets.
anything?
There is a win or there's a lesson. I love the way
Yeah,
you
or
put it.
there's a win or there's a lesson.
Yeah.
So to learn the lesson,
Sure.
take your pill and move on.
What creates the biggest aha moments for Sabeer?
Um, when I am able to get in touch with the subconscious self and figure out a solution to a problem that's been nagging for a long time, and I'm like, wow, this will solve this problem. That's an aha moment.
Wow. One of your interviews, I think on Jana, you mentioned that, they said any mentors, and you said when Hotmail came about, no mentors. But you said later in life, you mentioned Jimmy's name.
Yeah,
I thought there was an
he's been a
aha
great,
moment for Jimmy.
yeah,
You know,
he's been a great mentor. I mean, fantastic. And more importantly, the most important is how to think about life. And, I have learned that from him, how to be humble, you know, treat people with respect, with everyone with respect. Nobody is big or small. Um and, take one day at a time as it comes. He's been fantastic. I've learned so much from him.
good
Like
guy,
I said,
good guy. I learned a lot from him, and
yeah,
we, collaborate on so many different things.
yeah.
So, how much of a role does humor play in your life, Sabir?
Oh, big, big, of course. Love
Tell me about
humor.
that.
Yeah, love humor.
You seem a fun guy.
It's
You
Yeah,
seem
I
a fun
mean,
guy. Good party animal.
yeah, of course. I mean, no more party animal. Used to
No,
be. That was when
you
I was
changed to
single.
the monk who sold his Ferrari type of thing. Yeah, I know.
Yes, yes, yes. Now I'm like with kids, and it's like having kids is such a fantastic experience that it changes you emotionally. All of a sudden, it's not about you, it's about them,
Shift,
and
everything
what
shifts.
makes them happy. And there are hormonal changes in yourself. You start becoming, you all of a sudden are like 10 times more responsible. Um, so just fantastic experience, and something that, unfortunately, like, people don't really see that it is a learning to have kids. It's not a chore. It's a responsibility, but you have to learn from the whole experience of giving birth and
A whole
taking
new
care of
scope of
them,
learning.
and
You're right.
molding good human beings. Our goal right now should be, just to those who are parents, is just to is to raise kids with great values. Ultimately, we leave them with great values. And that's the beauty of St. Joseph's. And
Wow.
that's also the beauty of, now that I'm, married to a Christian or a Catholic, beauty of Catholicism and, of Christianity, that it teaches you to raise good human beings, you know. And St. Joseph's has had a phenomenal impact on my life, for sure.
Sabir, I'd love to talk to you more and more, but I'm going to cut this interview here. But I'm going to catch up with you on a personal level, and we can chat some things through, because I feel
Okay.
there's a lot of common ground and a lot we can probably think through together.
Sure, sure. And send me a copy of this, please, whenever you
No, I
can.
am. I am going to send you a copy of this. I'm going to send it to Jana also. I'm asking Jimmy not
Great.
to spread it around, even the schoolboys. It's just such a pleasure to talk to you, Sabir. You
No,
know,
thank you. Pleasure is all mine. Thank you so much.
the man, the enigma, the hottest male on the planet in a lot of ways.
Hardly.
I'm
I'm
talking
an
about
old
MA
man
active
now.
male, Sabir. So, but on that nice note, Sabir, it's been a
All
pleasure
right.
talking to you. The man, the enigma, the spiritual self that I see coming from you. For me, that is deeply moving and inspiring. And I'm sure your venture is going to take off like a bomb. If there's anything
Thank you.
that we can do in India to help that happen, let us know. On
Thank you.
a nice
Thank you
note,
so much.
may the
All
hot
right.
male become the coolest cat on the planet, and may
No,
you
no.
be the best dad around, because that's what you are meant to be in a lot of ways. So thank you so much, Sabir, and
Thank you.
indebted to you for this interview. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Ian. Thank you.
Bye bye.
Take care. Bye
You too.
bye.